Yeah. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us today on this satsang. It's going to be on Siva Gnanam. We'll start with Vikram. He'll sing a song, followed by our Dr. Gnanabhaskar's song. Thank you again. Srimat Bhutam Trishiragi Natam Srimat Bhutam Trishiragi Natam Srimat Bhutam Trishiragi Natam Hridim Chintaye Sugandhi Kundalabasametam Srimat Bhutam Trishiragi Natam Hridim Chintaye Sugandhim Kundalabasametam Srimat Bhutam Trishiragi Natam Somasakam Nata Sugasanakam Nana Somasakam Nata Sugasanakam Nana Kamadi Vijaya Kamaniyangam Kamadi Vijaya Kamaniyangam Somam Shiyodeta Surya Gangam Komalataradita Kurangam Guru Gugantarangam Komalataradita Kurangam Guru Gugantarangam Srimat Bhutam Trishiragi Natam Vasavaradi-deva Vandita-charanam Vaishyajati Sive Sadaranam Vasavaradi-deva Vandita-charanam Vaishyajati Sive Sadaranam Vasudeva Mahitam Bhavatarayanam Vasanayadi दरहासा त्रिपुरादिहरणं वासुकी प्रमुखाभरणं भासमाननवरणं दासजनसन्तोषकरणम् भासमाननवरणं दासजन सन्तोषकरणं सुवासितनवजवन्ति पुष्पविकासप्रियहृदयं सदयं श्वासवहन्ति सुवासितनवजवन्ति पुष्पविकासप्रियहृदयं सदयं मासवर्षपक्षोत्सवविभवं सदाशिवं परमशिवं श्री सुवासितनवजवन्ति पुष्पविकासप्रियहृदयं सदयं मासवर्षपक्षोत्सवविभवं सदाशिवं परमशिवं श्री मातिभूतं त्रिशिवनाथं हृदि चिन्तये सुगन्धि कुन्तलाभसमेतं श्री मातृभूतं त्रिशिवनाथं चिन्तये।
वक्रतुंड महाकाय सूर्यकोटि समप्रभा निर्विघ्नं कुरु मे देव सर्वकार्येषु सर्वदा। वागर्थाविव सम्पृक्तौ वागर्थप्रतिपत्तये जगतः पितरौ वन्दे पार्वती परमेश्वरौ। ज्ञानानन्दमयं देवं निर्मलं स्फटिकाकृतिम् आधारं सर्वविद्यानां हयग्रीवमुपास्महे। शारदा शारदाम्भोजवदना वदनाम्बुजे सर्वदा सर्वदास्माकं सन्निधिः सन्निधिं क्रियात्। विमलपटी कमलकुटी पुस्तकरुद्राक्षसस्तहस्तपुटी कामाक्षी पक्ष्मलाक्षी कलितविपञ्ची विभासि वैरिञ्ची। गुरवे सर्वलोकानां भिषजे भवरोगिणां निधये सर्वविद्यानां दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। वन्दे शम्भुमुमापतिं सुरगुरुं वन्दे जगत्कारणं वन्दे पन्नगभूषणं शशिधरं वन्दे पशूनां पतिं। वन्दे सूर्यशशाङ्कवह्निनयनं वन्दे मुकुन्दप्रियं वन्दे सिद्धसुरासुरेन्द्रनमितं वन्दे शिवं शङ्करम्। Shivaya Gurave Namaha. I offer my most prayerful salutations at the divine lotus feet of Lord Shiva, who is inseparable from his consort mother, divine mother Parvati. On this auspicious morning, we have gathered here to share some thoughts on Siva Gnanam. anything that we want to know, Gnanam, as you all understand, is knowledge. So there's all types of knowledge in the world, and anything that we really want to know is what we seek, right? So if I told you that today morning I'm going to speak to you about the theory of ordinary differential equations or partial differential equations, please come at 10 o'clock, I would be very surprised if you will all be here, right? Because there could be many reasons. One, you may think that, I don't care. I don't think it's of any use to me. Sometimes we also think, that has no value. What is the use of all that theory, right? Practical and applications are more important than all theories. If you ask some of the students, that's what they will say. Sometimes people don't know the value of what is that knowledge. At other times they may know it, but they say it's useful, it is important, but I don't have any particular interest in it, so I'm not seeking it, right? So when we keep a title like Siva Gnanam, meaning, and we put the tagline as the glory and the knowledge of Lord Shiva. Of course, English translation is poor, right? We couldn't just say the knowledge of Shiva, that seemed too short. And we had to say, of course, therefore, with the knowledge of Shiva, you also realize the glory of Lord Shiva. So, in the Sanskrit version of the title, it simply says Siva Gnanam, knowledge of Lord Shiva. But in English, when we translated it to tagline, we had to say something more because it wasn't quite conveying the weight of that word Gnanam. So, we had to say the glory. The glory and Gnanam are in a sense synonymous for Lord Shiva, not for everybody and not in a general way. So, here we are gathered to talk about Lord Shiva today. Well, just very recently, a few days ago, on Tuesday for us and Wednesday in India, we all celebrated the Mahashivaratri festival. And we all did abhishekams for Lord Shiva, we did a lot of chantings, and nearly 1 billion people all over the country, in every small or big temple in India, if there was a Shivalingam, there was an abhishekam performed. Think about it. 1 billion people have all spent their thoughts focused on this one single form of Shivalinga and have worshipped for a whole night. So that's enormous power. And on that day also we just concluded the Mahakumbha, the Kumbha, the holy time for the confluence of the 3 rivers at Prayagraj. 600 million Hindus have taken, not just Hindus, 600 million people have actually gone there physically and have taken a dip in the Prayagraj, the confluence of all the 3 rivers of Ganga, Yamuna and Saraswati. 600 million. Did I say it right? 600 million. That's almost twice the population of our country here, right? So that's how much of an importance that one places on these concepts that we live with in this great religion of Hindu. So when we talk about Lord Shiva, everybody knows a little bit about Lord Shiva already. Who here does not know about Lord Shiva? So there is nothing new probably that I can share. But it is not about just some superficial knowledge, but we try to understand. So when we talk about Lord Shiva, I will just say first what generally people think. Lord Shiva is, as everybody knows, is one of the trinity of the deities that are in Hinduism. Brahma, Vishnu and Maheshwara or Shiva is what generally people think. But really the Shiva that we are talking about today is not just one of those 3 trinity, but actually is the one Parabrahman who is worshipped as Lord Shiva. Shivam, the very word Shivam, the meaning of that word is Bhadram, meaning safety. Kalyanam means auspiciousness. Bhadram, Mangalam. Mangalam is auspiciousness, right? Kalyanam, you understand, welfare and things like that. So the word Shivam has multiple meanings. Shivam is auspiciousness. Shivam means safety, Bhadram. So when you say Shiva, 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 and something happens, it's a habit in our previous generation. People don't just say some random words. Instead, they will say, if they hear something that is not very pleasant, they will say Shiva, Shiva. So that is already a safety guaranteed, a protection guaranteed for you, right? Of course, different people may say different names of God. Today it is Lord Shiva. So Shivam means Bhadram. The very utterance of the name Shiva guarantees that safety. Just saying that name guarantees the safety. Bhadram, Kalyanam, Mangalam, Shubham. Shubham is good, goodness, welfare. So that's the meaning of the word Shiva. So who is Lord Shiva? Shiva is the very embodiment of all these things. That is the Lord Shiva we are talking about. And today we want to understand the knowledge all about him. So many times people think, oh, Lord Shiva, when we ask how does he look, we have a form in mind, right? Oh, Lord Shiva means he will be having 3 eyes. Lord Shiva means he has a Trishulam in his hand. Lord Shiva means he is riding on a Nandi bull. Lord Shiva means he has smeared ashes all over his body. These are all the common things that we know, right? This much we know. But why does he look like that? Right? Because many times those who are not familiar with these things can very easily misunderstand. Even our own children can ask the question, what kind of God is this? He has 3 eyes. See, something should be symmetric and is pleasant to look at. 2 eyes is fine, 4 eyes is fine. What is 3 eyes? Sometimes people can be, turned off by such things. Why should somebody smear ash all over the body? Why can't he wear proper clothes? Right? So he has a elephant skin thrown on his shoulder. Right? Gajacharmambaradhari. He wears elephant skin. Why? Why can't he wear some beautiful dress? So we can ask all these questions. What kind of God is? So all kinds of misinterpretations can be made. Half knowledge is bad. Because we have these things. We know, oh, Shiva means this. Shiva lives, where does Shiva live? You ask somebody, they will say, oh, Shiva lives in the burial ground. He is a Smashanavasi. You hear all these things. So, these kind of questions can be raised. It's knowledge about Shiva. How does he look? Where does he live? What does he wear? What does he eat? Right? Where all these questions, this is information, knowledge of Shiva. But what is it really? But we are not the first people to be asking this kind of questions. People in our religion for thousands of years have already asked this question and found answers to these questions. Actually, in the 14th century, in the Vijayanagara Empire, Sri Krishna Deva Raya was a king. And in his court, there was a poet by the name Durjati. And he says to Lord Shiva, Vanne yenugutolu duppatamu. He is talking directly to Lord Shiva. He says, Vanne yenugutolu duppatamu. Okay, I understand. He is asking directly. I understand. You want to look good. But what kind of taste is that you want to throw an elephant skin on your shoulder? Is it really anything that adds to your beauty? He is asking. Vanne yenugutolu duppatamu. Bhuva kala kutambu. Okay, fine, whatever you may want to wear, you wear. At least eat something nice, something tasty, something that is, looks attractive. We can make a lot of dishes, but what is that you eat? Bhuva kala kutambu. You take the poison as your intake, that you intake. You know the story of Lord Shiva. So this is all about knowledge of Shiva. You see, what has Lord Shiva done? He has swallowed the poison. When the poison came out of the churning of the ocean of nectar, the Devas and Danavas, I hope you are all familiar with that story, when the Devas and Danavas churn the ocean of nectar, right, the Kshetrasamudram, the ocean of milk, and they churn it, and out comes first, they're churning it with the intent of getting nectar to become immortal, and first comes poison, a huge poison, huge amount of poison. Halahala, that is, he is called Halahala. They drank that. So this poison comes out, and everybody is shaken, and they say, oh, we don't know how to deal with this. And they first run to Lord Shiva and say, can you please help? And Lord Shiva says, okay, fine, I will help you guys. And he swallows the poison. So, Bhuvva Kala Kutambu, at least if I think, okay, this man has a lot of nice dishes prepared. So he eats that. No, he eats what? Poison. Che Ginne Brahma Kapalam. Okay, fine, whatever you may want to eat, at least eat in a golden vessel or a silver thing, whatever, something nice. No. What does he eat in? He looks around and he finds the skull of a Brahma's skull, because several things. He's supposedly living in Smashanam, right? So there is a skull lying around. And whose skull is it? Not some ordinary person, the Brahma's. So, Che Ginne Brahma Kapalam. So he finds a skull of somebody to hold the poison and then he takes it. This is what Durjati is asking Lord Shiva. If somebody has to criticize, we don't need outsiders. We can do it ourselves very well. Right? Che Ginne Brahma Kapalam. All right, I can tolerate all these things, sir. At least wear some nice necklaces and look good, because we want to worship you. You are supposed to be our God. So you should look good. Wear some nice golden necklace or something. What is that you wear? Ugramagu bhoge kantaharambu. You put a snake around your neck and you want us to worship you. Then we look at the snake and we already get scared. Ugramagu bhoge kantaharambu. Male, what a great God, sir. Male, knowing all these things, then he says, Nivilagunayuntayun telisayun, having known that this is how you look, you wear an elephant skin, you drink poison, you drink it in the skull of a Brahma, you put a necklace around you, as a snake has a necklace around you. Knowing all these things, how is it that? So Durjati is asking, Ninnilagunayuntayun telisayun, Cherchen Narayanudetlu ni Padayugamun tana manasamunan. How is it that, once Narada went to Vaikuntha, where Lord Vishnu resides. So Lord Vishnu is sitting in meditation. So he says, Swami, we all think you are the God yourself. So who are you meditating on? So I am meditating on Lord Shiva. So this Durjati is asking, how is it that this Lord Narayana, having known you to be doing all these weird things, is worshipping your feet in his meditation? I cannot understand. Can you please explain? Durjati is asking Lord Shiva, what do you understand? For external appearance, Lord Shiva's appearance is like this. He wears an elephant. But behind each of these, there is a certain significance and there is an act of Lord Shiva that conveys what Lord Shiva is. Behind, why does he drink poison? Because of extreme compassion for this world. Suppose somebody want to drink something. You will drink and it will go inside, right? But did Shiva do that? Lord Shiva drank the poison to help these Danavas and Devas. He didn't swallow it. What did he do? He put it in his throat. Why? You know how difficult it is to keep something in your throat and hold it there, right? But Lord Shiva does that. Why does he do that? Because there is a universe outside of him and there is a universe inside his stomach. So if he were to swallow it, in order to save the universe that is outside, all those words that are there in his stomach, they will be suffering. So in order to not harm the words that are in his stomach and to save the words that are outside him, he wants to keep it in his throat. And thus he becomes a Neelakantha. So we call him Neelakantha because that throat has turned blue because of that poison. It's not like the poison is so great that it can affect. It is for us to remember that act of Lord Shiva, that he makes his throat blue. But if you see, many times I ask our students in our Stotra class, what is the color of Lord Shiva? Right? This is all knowledge, information. So our students say, oh, Lord Shiva looks blue. That is what so many pictures we see. But if he is really blue all over, how is he in Neelakantha? Because if everything is blue, then throat alone you cannot distinguish. So everything else has to be in a different color in order for you to call him Nilakantha. What is the color of Lord Shiva? White. So Daspatika Sankasam, that is the color described in the Vedas. Right? He is pure crystal, crystalline color, pure white. Karpura Gauram, Karunalavalam is this. Every time we sing, Karpura Gauram is what? You are looking like camphor. Camphor is white. So Lord Shiva's true color is white. And because he swallowed that poison, his throat has turned blue, so he is Nilakantha. Makes sense? Right? So, and that color of Lord Shiva's throat tells you about the infinite compassion that he has for his creation. So, in saying it like this, what kind of thing you are eating? What thing, why should he eat in Brahma's Kapala? After all, he can ask. His wife, Annapurna, is there sitting, and she can make anything, she can create anything. Annapurna herself, if you go to Kashi, you will see she is holding a golden bowl in which she has whatever she has to serve you on a golden spoon. He cannot ask, oh Annapurna, please give me this thing. No, but he picks up Brahma's skull. Why? What is the message? The Brahma is a creator. When so many things are lying around him, he is to tell you that, if I don't want to go into the mathematics of it, what's the timeline for Brahma's age? One Brahma is supposed to be for 100 Brahma years, right? And that translates to, I'll skip the calculation part, several millions of years. Okay, the timeline. If so many of Brahma's skulls are lying around Lord Shiva, what does it tell you? What's the message? That Lord Shiva is an eternal presence. For him, time doesn't exist. He is Kalatita. He is beyond time. That's why all those who come in time and go in time are around him. So when he says, he picked up a Brahma Kapalam in order to drink the poison, the message is what? Lord Shiva is eternal. Lord Shiva does not have, and we said it last time also, among the few gods in Hinduism whose death and birth will never be talked about. One of them is Lord Shiva, because he is not bound by time. You will never hear Lord Shiva was born on this day. Or you will never hear Lord Shiva died on this day, because he is a Mrityunjaya. He is a Kala, he is the Lord of time. Right? So that's the message, that when you say he is drinking it in a Brahma's Kapala, it doesn't necessarily mean that he is taking a skull and drinking in it. But the message is to say that he is eternal, he is timeless, he is beyond time. That's the message. That is the Gnanam. Information he drank in Brahma's skull. What's the Gnanam? That he is eternal. So like that for everything, he has an elephant skin on his shoulder. Why? Again, there is a story. And if you read it, you will understand that as an act that Lord Shiva has performed in order to actually fulfill one of his devotees' wish, who also happens to be a demon. And here is an interesting notion in Hinduism. You see, many times in many religions, God is for the good people and something else is for the bad people. Satan or something like that. Right? For us, Lord Shiva is the God for the good people. He is also the Bhuta Ganadhipati. He is also the Lord of all the ghosts and Brahma Rakshasas and all these evil fellows. Also, he is the same Lord. Because there is nothing beside him in our concept. So you will hear these stories. Hiranyakashipu wants to perform penance. He will perform penance for Lord Shiva. Ravanasura wants to perform penance. He will go and perform penance for Lord Shiva. He is an evil fellow. But he will perform penance and Lord Shiva appears. Lord Shiva gives boons. So if somebody hears this, what kind of God is this? Is a natural question that will come to you. If he is really God, he should not be doing such things. Why nobody is telling him? Is what we will think. But the fact is that whether good or bad, he is beyond both and he is the Lord of both. So he cannot say, oh, you are Rakshasa, so I won't give you boons. If that fellow performs appropriate austerities as a penance, he has to yield and give, okay, you deserve it, whatever you ask, we'll give. That kind of thing. So this is the physical appearance is one thing, and the significance and the message behind those is another. Similarly, why should he have 3 eyes? What are these 3 eyes of Lord Shiva? This is another thing, right? So all these questions, hopefully during the course of our discussion, we will try to find some answers. Why should he have 3 eyes, right? So let's go back a little bit. What time period are we looking at when we say Lord Shiva is beyond time? So one of the earliest stories, let's start with Mahashivaratri. What is that we celebrate as Mahashivaratri? Definitely, Mahashivaratri is not the birthday of Lord Shiva. Definitely not. Because he does not have birth or death. Ramanavami, yes, birthday of Lord Rama. Krishnashtami, birthday of Lord Krishna. Sivaratri. What is Mahasivaratri? Mahasivaratri is the day on which Lord Shiva manifested. He is always there. He manifests in a certain manner. So what happened as the story goes? This was the beginning of creation. Even before the creation has happened, there is a huge body of knowledge with us. Siva Puranam will talk about these stories. Right? Before the creation, Brahma suddenly becomes aware that he is there. Lord Brahma, the Chaturmukha Brahma. Okay, at that time he had 5 heads actually. Lord Brahma had 5 heads at the beginning. So he became aware that he is there and he looked around. Nothing is there. Only he is there. And he thought, oh, I am the first one. Because he has that awareness. He says, I am the only one. I am the first one. There is nothing around me. And he is trying to figure out, who am I? What am I doing here? And things like that. Then slowly he realizes that there is Lord Vishnu and there is, from his navel, there is a, something that is connecting and there is a lotus and on that lotus he is sitting. Lord Brahma is realizing all this. First he thinks, oh, there is nobody other than me. Then he slowly looks around and says, oh, actually I am sitting on the lotus and this is tied to somebody else and there is this somebody who is later on comes to know as Narayana. But he thinks I am the first one and Narayana is the next one. So he looks at, and then in the meanwhile, Lord Vishnu asks Brahma, my son, what do you want? Or something like that. So he says, this why he is younger to me, because I am the first one and he is younger to me. So they have a conversation as the Purana goes. So Vishnu says, no, actually I am the first one and through me, you see, from my navel you came out and there is a lotus and then you are sitting on top. You came later. I am the first one, I am greater than you. Lord Brahma says, no. Actually I was aware and then I saw you and you are the next one. So they have a kind of who is great kind of a thing. So let's figure out, they are trying to go through this kind of argument. And then in front of both of them, a huge ball of fire appears. Agni Lingam, as it is called. Huge ball of fire appears in front of them. Then they both who are arguing as to who is superior, suddenly look at this huge ball of fire that is there in front of them and say, what is this one? So he says, let's go find out what is this one. And Lord Brahma says, okay, I'm going to go reach the top and see what exactly is there at the top. Lord Vishnu says, all right, I'm going to go down and find its end and then discover what is this huge ball of fire that is there in front of us. So somebody goes down, digging, going down, and then somebody is going up. And they keep on going. They are never able to get to the end or to the top. So as Lord Brahma is going higher and higher, trying to find the top of this Agnilinga, he sees a certain flower falling from the top. So We have to understand these stories will all have very deep underlying message. So for a moment you have to just accept the story as it is, right? So he asks that flower, where are you coming from? Because he is going up and the flower is coming down, you see. So he asks, where are you coming from? That flower says, I also don't know. I just am just falling. I don't know where I came from. So he says, okay, let's make a deal. One night, let's go back. When I see Lord Vishnu, I am going to tell him that I have seen the top. And if Lord Vishnu were to ask, where is the witness? Where is the proof? I will say that this flower is the witness. This one was at the top. And when I went there, I saw, and this flower and I are both coming down now. Just say it like that. So that flower says, okay. In the meanwhile, Lord Vishnu went down, 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 never reached the end. So he gives up his effort and then comes back up and says, then they meet. What happened? So Lord Vishnu says, well, I tried very hard. I tried to go down. And however much I keep going down, I can't find the end. Brahma says, oh, I have found the top. And this flower is the witness. So at that point, this huge ball of fire that is there, that is the first manifestation of Lord Shiva. Mahashivaratri is the night when that manifestation of Agnilingam. How is that Agnilingam? There is a description. Right? How big, how large is that? It's like it occupies everything around it. Apatalana bhastalanta bhuvana brahmandamavisphurat jyotis phatikalinger mauli vilasat purnenduvantamrutaihi astokaplutamekami samanisam rudranuvakanjapan dhyaye dipsita siddhaye dhruvapadam viprobhishinchechivam. Goes this dhyana shloka of that Agnilingam. How big is it? Apatala, all the way down to the patalas. Apatala nabhastalanta, all the way into the skies. That's how huge it is. Occupies everything. So when we worship Shivalinga, perform Abhishekam for Shivalinga on Mahashivaratri day, we are having a symbol in front of us. That linga can be this big or huge, depending on where you are doing it. If it is in your house, it will probably be about 2 inches or something like that. Right? So that is not that stone or whatever the metal. Sometimes people worship silver lingas, some people worship crystal lingas, some people worship gold lingas, depending on their capacity. That's not what we are worshipping. The attitude of a Hindu who is performing any of these rituals is, in his mind or her mind, apatalana bhastalanta bhuvana brahmandamavispha. The entire cosmos is permeated by that link, that fire, ball of fire, Agnilinga. What kind of jyotis? Sphatikalinga. Jyoti, fire, right? Light. Sphatika. Sphatika means crystal. That's the description for that Shivalinga that appeared. So that's the kind of Shivalinga that they have seen, and when we are performing this Abhishekam or worship to Shivalinga, that's what we are doing. We are not doing it to the small entity that is in front of us. We have a symbol, but our shloka, dhyana shloka, is this. I am worshipping that entity which permeates this whole universe. All apatalana bastalanta bhavana brahmand ma visphurat jyotis phatikalinger maulivara satpurnendu vantamrutahi. That's the kind of concept we have when we worship. For somebody who is only limited to this body, physical existence, and is only obsessed with this body, that Shivalingam will represent something else in his mind or her mind. Their level is that. If somebody interprets the Shivalinga as some part of a human body, but that is their ignorance. That is not what it is. Right? So, this Shivalinga, that is Jyotisphatikalinga, slowly this Lord Vishnu and Brahma start seeing a certain form inside that. And Lord Shiva manifests in that from the Agnilinga to some different form. And that form that appears in front of this two has 5 faces, has 5 heads, one in each direction. So this again we have to understand when we talk about 5 heads. If you see, these heads are not all linear, meaning one next to each other. Then how are these 5 heads? One in each direction. Okay, east, west, north, south, and one in the top, looking up. So symbolism again. So the 5-faced Shiva appears in front of these two and then tells them, neither of you are actually the first ones. I am the one who is eternal. I am the one who is present. I am the one who really brought you both forth. And explains to them their role, etc. in this creation. So this story is of what time? When there was no creation even. Right? That means no earth, no solar systems, nothing. Of course you will ask, where is this happening? Well, our mind cannot even comprehend that level at which this is happening. Right? So Lord Shiva explains all this and then says, to the Brahma, he says, you lied. And Lord Shiva is an embodiment of truth. So they cannot coexist. You see the opposites. So he says, you had Brahma had 5 heads. And you had 5 heads for a reason. And you lied. And because of that, which is an undesirable quality, I'm going to chip off one of your heads. Okay, this is how the story goes. So actually, Lord Shiva, when he appeared, he has a huge jatajutam, and from that pulls out one hair, and there comes Veerabhadra, another form of Lord Shiva. And that Veerabhadra is the one who pinches off one of the Brahma's heads, and then Brahma becomes a 4-headed Brahma. So the one that we look at is Chaturmukha Brahma, 4 heads only. 5th one is gone. Because of that as a punishment, the 5th one is gone. Now, Brahma realizes, of course, there is a story, but that's different. And Lord Shiva explains to them their roles. Okay, you are the creator and you are supposed to be sustaining this universe, etc. And then, of course, teaches a few other things. What is the significance of these 5 heads of Lord Shiva? Because Lord Shiva performs 5 activities. Remember, today we are talking about Siva Gnanam. We are not content with just seeing 5 heads and okay, he has 5 heads. And somebody says, what weird God, you have 5 heads and 3 eyes and 3. Each face has 3 eyes. Each face has 3 eyes, right? 5 heads. And we have a very detailed description of each of these heads. So there are 5 activities that Lord Shiva performs. Srishti. So he is the one who really performs Srishti because he created even Brahma. So Srishti, Sthiti, sustenance, Layam. This entire thing that comes forth from him goes back into him. So Layam. So Srishti, Sthiti, Layam. 2 more. Tirodhana and Anugraha. These are the 2 other activities. Only Lord Shiva can do. You and I cannot perform these 5 activities. Only Lord Shiva can perform this. Can we create something that is not there? Can we create a tree or a mountain? Create as in create. Right? We can't do. We can put a seed and it will grow. That's a different story. But you are not creating a tree there. Right? So creation, only he can do. Maintenance of this huge cosmos, of course, we can't run a household. They forget about maintaining a whole cosmos. So only Lord Shiva can. Layam, absorb everything back into him whenever that happens. Again, only he can do. What is this Tirodhana? These beings, all these jivas that are born into this universe, go through this cycle of life and death repeatedly at some point in time, which is called Kalpantam. Kalpam is a certain time period. Okay? At the end of that Kalpa, there will be a Pralaya. Pralayam, you understand? Dissolution, you can call. There are various levels of Pralaya. Kalpanta Pralaya. For example, at the end of this Kali Yugam, let's say, Dwapara Yugam ended when Lord Krishna passed away and became Kali Yuga. Was there a Pralayam? No. Yugantam does not necessarily mean end of the creation. Transition happens from time when the Dwapara Yuga to Kali Yuga happens. But is there a pralaya? Limited way. Like Lord Krishna's capital city Dwarka was there, but Dwarka went under the ocean. To that extent, there is a limited pralaya. Does everything go back, dissolve? No. When does that happen? That happens at the end of a kalpa. Huge time. Okay? What happens at that time? Obviously, there are several beings living in the universe. What happens to all of them? At that time, it's whatever state the beings are, they all just go back in seed form into Lord Shiva. He absorbs them into himself in seed form, as in just the vasana, that's the theory. So that is the Layakaraka. But they're all there. And then there is this huge blackout, like nothing is there. Then after some time, that when I say sometime, I'm not even getting into those numbers. Okay? Creation starts again. So there is creation, end of creation, gap, start of creation. Right? When that creation were to start, all those jivas which are absorbed into Lord Shiva in whatever state they were there at that time, all those jivas are brought back into the creation at various time points based on their karmic baggages. Everybody doesn't come back right away. There's a plan, there is a scheme. That is called Tirodhana. He will bring people back and say, okay, go back and live out your karma things. Tirodhana. Then there is something called Anugraham. What is that? He is watching as we go through our life, the cycle of life and death. There are some people who would reach a level where they have attained liberation. They have become one with him. That is, that he gives the liberation, Anugraham. That he is the one who gives that blessing and says, okay, now you become one with me. So these are the 5 acts that he performs. 5 heads of Lord Shiva are symbolic of each act that he performs. That's one aspect of it. Then each of these heads, of course, can also be associated with the Pancha Bhutas, the 5 Bhutas that exist: Prithvi, Earth, Apas, water, Tejo, fire, Vayu, air, Akasha, sky. So Pancha Bhutas, 5 Bhutas that exist in this universe have come forth from each of these 5 faces. You can also look upon these Bhutas, Pancha Bhutas, as a facet of Lord Shiva. Right? So when we talk about Isha Vasyamidam Sarvam Yatkincha Jagatyam Jagat, this entire universe is permeated by Lord Shiva. How? You are looking at earth. If in your mind you can say this very earth element, I am talking not about this physical earth. The moon also is earth element, if you see. Right? Mars also has earth element. Am I making sense? So there earth, I don't mean this earth alone, this earth element, Panchabhuta. One of the Panchabhutas is Prithvi Bhuta. Prithvi Bhutam is there in moon also, in Mars also, everywhere. All these planets, right? And asteroids and stuff. They are all Prithvi Bhutams. So, when we look at our Prithvi, let us say, our earth, if you can say this is a manifestation of Lord Shiva, okay, if we can hold that thought, tell me, is there any time in your life when Lord Shiva is not with you? We always say, Isha Vasyamidam Sarvam Yatkincha Jagatyam Jagat. How? He is not standing with a shulam there. This earth that we are walking on is a manifestation of Lord Shiva. Panchabhutas are the manifestations of Lord Shiva. So where is he not there with you? Wherever you go, in some form or the other. In the water, of course. Air, there is no place that without air that you can exist anyway. So air is there. Space is there, Akasha element. So when we say God is everywhere, how? People will ask, the children will have that kind of, why children? Even we get our thoughts. Oh, I am praying, but God is not responding. Do we have an understanding of what God we are talking about? The God is, there is somebody who says God does not exist, says so because he or she doesn't understand the meaning of that God. Our God is not some God sitting in the heaven. We talked about it last time. This God is become this universe. Visvam Vishnu Vashatkaraha. Visvam Vishnu. What is that? What am I saying? Vishnu Sahasranama. First thing, Visvam Vishnu. This entire universe is Vishnu. Finished. Where is that Vishnu? Not there. Is there. So you may ask, are you talking about Siva Gnanam or Vishnu Gnanam? Right? But Sivasya Hrudayam Vishnu, Vishnusya Hrudayam Siva. They are not different. Yatha Sivamayo Vishnu, evam Vishnumaya Siva. Sivamayo Vishnu. Vishnu is full of Shiva. Evam Vishnumaya Siva. Siva is full of Vishnu. If you understand the meaning of those words, obvious actually. Right? So it's the same whether I say Vishwam Vishnu or I say the whole Panchabhutas are all Lord Shiva. Same. Right? The 5 heads and Panchabhutas. Then there is a description of each of these faces. How the color of these faces is. Samvartagni tati pradipta kanaka praspardhi tejomayam gambhiradhvani samavedanitam tamradharam sundaram ardhendu dhyutilola pingala jata bhara prabadhoragam Vande Siddha Surasurendra Namitam Purvam Mukham Shulinaha. Purvam means east. So how is that face of Lord Shiva that is looking to the east? There is a description. Samvartagni tati pradipta kanaka praspardhi tejomayam. What is the color and the shape of that face? What is he wearing on his face? So there is a description of that. It's not just random that he has 5 faces and then we move on. We are not just, this is not a Lord of the Rings movie or a Harry Potter movie where some weird, beings are created by some imagination. No, there is a deep theory and philosophy behind it. Right? Kala Brahmaranjana Dhyutanibham Vyavrutta Pingekshanam Kardodbhasita Bhogya Mastakamani Prodbhinna Damstrankuram Sarpa Prota Kapala Sukti Sakala Vyakirna Sancharagam Vande Dakshinamishwarasya Vadanam Kutala Bhrubhanga Raudramukha. There is a face of Lord Shiva. Kutila Bhrubhanga, how is even the expression on that face is described. Kutila Bhrubhanga Raudramukha is looking to the south and is like that. Kutila Bhrubhanga, Bhru means this. So he's looking like that, as if, what are you doing? Kind of a thing. Look on his face. Trying to convey some message. Why? Because south is supposedly the direction of Lord Yama. Right? Dakshinayam is we have Dik Devata, that deity is for each Devata, each direction. Right? So for Dakshinam, Lord Yama is the controller. So he is sitting there on that side. And Lord Shiva's face facing towards Dakshinam there is a face of like that, watchful. Okay, Kutila Bhrubhanga Raudramukam. The expression is described on that face. Why? Because he is the one who controls even Ladya. Right? So similarly, Praleyachala Chandra Kunda Dhavalam Gokshira Fena Prabham. We finished Purvam, Dakshinam and West. Praleyachala Chandra Kunda Dhavalam Gokshira Fena Prabham. Bhasmabhyaktamananga deha dahana jwalavali lochana Brahmopendra marudganai stutiparai abhyarchitam yogibhihi Vandeham sakalam kalankarahitam sthanormukham paschimam. Paschimam is west. So he refers to each face in each direction with a different name. Sthanuhu is the name that is being referred to Lord Shiva looking in the western direction. Sthanor Mukham Paschima. How is that looking? It describes. Gauri Kunkuma Pankilam Sutilakam Vyapandu Gandasthalam Bhru Vikshepa Kataksha Vikshanas Lasat Samsakta Karnotpalam. The one that is looking in the east. North. We finished, right? East, south, west and north. Snigdham bimba paladaram suhasitam Nilala kalankrutam. How is the face? The description. Nilala kalankrutam Vande purna sashanka mandalanibham Vaktram Harasyottaram. Hara is the name that is given to that. Vaktram Harasyottaram. Now we finished all four. There is a fifth face that is looking up and is Sarvatomukha. So we often wonder, right, when we keep our altar place in our homes, oh, should we put our deities facing east or facing west or facing south? We ask. What is more important is that we are facing them at some time during the day. We keep an altar but never bother for it, there is no use. Right? So, even the gods are looking to the south to keep control of that. So, it's not important that where you are looking, where they are looking is the one they will control the thing. Right? So, similarly, the one that is at the top. So, this description is there, 5 faces. And then we have connection of these entities. Our good fortune in India, we have kshetras corresponding to each one of these. Panchabhutas, there are Panchabhuta lingas and Panchabhuta kshetras in it. Right? Where is the Prudhvi lingam? The one that is referring to earth element. There is a Prudhvi linga manifestation in India. Kanchipuram is Prudhvi lingam. So if you go to Kanchipuram and you are going to Ekamreshwara temple and taking a darshan of Ekamreshwara, you are really worshipping Lord Shiva in its Prudhvi element. Not just, it's a symbol sitting there. There is a story and all that. It's a separate series. We will have to talk about this Kshetra Mahimas. Right? But Prudhvi Lingam is present in Kanchipuram. And then Jalalingam is present in Jambukeshwaram. What is the Tamil name? Tiruvanikkaram. So that is Jambukeshwaram is the Sanskrit name for that. There is always water oozing at that Shivalinga if you go to that temple. It's Jalalingam. Right? The third one, fire. Agnilingam is there in Arunachalam, Tiruvannamalai. So if you go to Tiruvannamalai, you go to the temple, those of you who have gone will know how hot it is inside that temple. So it is Agnilingam there. And there is a reason why the Agnilinga is there. Right? And then the fourth one, and probably the only one among these 5 that is there in Andhra Pradesh, is in a place called Srikalahasti, and that is Vayulinga. You go to one, that's one of the beautiful temples. All of these are beautiful temples. And if you go to Srikalahasti temple, you stand in front of that Lord Shiva's Garbhagraham, right? There are lamps all over, and there are lamps right next to the Shivalinga. That's a closed room, right? Garbhagriha is a closed thing. There is no any other entry, windows, nothing. And there are no fans or anything. And you will see almost all the lamps are still. Because there is no air circulation. But the lamps that are put next to Shivalinga, they will be flickering. You can see it even today. Many of us have seen it with our eyes. Right? You can go stand there, you will see all of them are still. Just those few lamps that are near Lord Shiva's lingam, they will be flickering. Vayu lingam. Right? And then there is another famous place, which is the Akashalinga Sthanam, which is Chidambaram. Right? Akashalinga. How do you say Akasha? So only those who have gone to Chidambaram will know what is this Akashalinga secret. That's why it is called Chidambara Rahasyam. Secret of Chidambara. How do you see a linga which is Akasha? Right? So, manifestation. We are talking about Lord Shiva's Gnanam. So, these temples exist, these kshetras exist with extraordinary spiritual power infused into those locations. You go there, it doesn't matter how you feel about it. Physically, you are absorbing that energy of the place. You get the blessings of Lord Shiva. Right? So that is the 5-faced Lord Shiva who appeared in front of Vishnu and Brahma. And then they realize and they worship Lord Shiva in that form. That is why we say Brahma Murari Surarchita Lingam. When did they worship? That is when they worshipped. Brahma Murari Surarchita Lingam Nirmala Bhasita Shobhita Lingam. That is the stotram we chanted yesterday. So when did they worship? That is when the manifestation of Lord Shiva happened. Brahma and Murari, Vishnu worshipped that Shivalingam. Which Shivalingam? That Shivalingam of huge ball of fire. Then time goes on, and then Brahma is also, now he is supposed to perform his creation. So there is a lot of manasa creation. He thinks about some things and those things manifest. So that's why you will hear in the Puranas, Brahma Manasa Putra. Like for example, sage Narada is supposed to be Brahma Manasa Putra. He is the son of Brahma. But when we talk about son, etc., we should not imagine that they are born like the way humans are born. Brahma thinks of it and they manifest. So like that, there are several sages that have numerous saptarshis, all of them manus, all of them have manifested by manasa creation, just thinking about it, thought processes alone. Then he wants to perform the usual creation that we see around us, and at that point, Lord Brahma, is in a fix. He doesn't understand how to do that. Then again, he sits in meditation, praying to Lord Shiva and says, give me a clue how I should proceed with this creation. And in that meditation, Lord Shiva appears to him in a particular form. And that form that Lord Shiva appears in Brahma's meditation as a message to Lord Brahma as to how this creation is to be made is the Ardhanarishvara form, where he appears as a combination of a male-female principle. That's the form that Brahma sees. Namah Shivabhyam Navayavvanabhyam Parasparashrishta Vapurdharabhyam. So they are inseparable in principle. So how does anybody convey this message that the Lord Shiva appeared in front of Brahma, giving him a message that this creation is to be made as a combination of male and female principles. That is the message Lord Shiva gave to Lord Brahma. How do you convey that to us? So you will see in the pictures half body with Shiva and half body with Mother Parvati. And somebody will make fun of it and say, what kind of thing is this? Because they don't know. That's message being conveyed. Male-female principle in one entity. They are inseparable things. That's also the thing, right? There's only one Lord Shiva. But he has to convey that there are two aspects to his, male and female aspects to this existence. So he appears in front of Ardhanarishvara, and then Brahma gets the message and makes this whole creation as a combination of male and female principles. I don't need to explain any more than that on that. So that's the form of Lord Shiva, Ardhanarishvara form. And then time goes on. There is this Manasa creation, Sanaka, Sanandana, Sanat Kumara, Sanat Sujata. There are 4 sages. Sanaka, Sanandana, Sanat Kumara, Sanat Sujata. 4 sages. They are always in the form of like small boys. Some of you have seen some of the TV series like Vishnu Puran will see. Those small children. Yet always in that stage. And they are already Brahmagnanis. Okay? So these 4, having all the time dwelling on that Brahman, etc. And they want to know more. They say, let's go to Lord Shiva and ask for some clarification on some of these things. So they go to Kailas, wanting to ask Lord Shiva some questions about this Brahman and all that. And then they find that Lord Shiva, when they go, Lord Shiva and Mother Parvati are engaged in a Nrityam, dance. Nataraja Swami is the form. Right? He's dancing with his concert, Lord Shiva, and then everybody is there playing mridangam and all kinds of instruments. So these 4 sages go there and say, what kind of Lord is this? We thought he's going to tell us about Brahman and this and that, and here he's engaged, busy in dancing with his wife and with all these musical instruments. They wonder. And they say, oh no, what is he going to tell us about Brahma Gnanam? Let us go away. And Lord Shiva intentionally ignores them, meaning it doesn't pay attention to them because he's busy dancing. So they go away. And as they're about to leave, then they see a huge banyan tree under which there is a young boy sitting. 16-year-old boy sitting in an ascetic pose with his left leg on the right thigh and with his right leg put down and in a certain posture. They think, oh, this is the one who is really the Lord who can tell us. and they go to see him. Because they thought, how is a married man and is playing and dancing around with his wife? How can he tell us about Brahmagnana? So the same Lord Shiva appears in a different form to teach this Brahmagnana to these four sages, sitting under a banyan tree with four hands, right? Each hand holding a certain thing and a certain posture. And they, around him are the people. There are several sages sitting, and they are all very old people. Chitram, Patataror Mule, Vruddha Sishyaha Guror Yuvaha. What a wonder is this? Under this banyan tree, there is a young boy sitting in a certain posture, and all around him are the aged people trying to listen to him what they are saying. What is the Vyakhyanam he is doing? What is the commentary he is giving? Because he has to give Gnanam. What is the Gnanam he is distributing to these old people? Gurostu Maunam Vyakhyanam. He is conveying his message in silence. Right? Gurostu Maunam Vyakhyanam. And he is not talking anything, but Sishyastu Chinna Samshayaha. All the doubts of the disciples are gone. How is that possible? So this divine form of Lord Shiva is the Dakshinamurti Swarupam. So you see, we talk about Lord Shiva. Somebody says, oh, he's like 3 eyes and holding this, wearing this. All that is one. And when you talk about these different forms of Lord Shiva, then you see the Gnanam aspect of this. Dakshinamurti is the embodiment of knowledge. If anybody wants to improve their intellectual powers, just having a picture of Dakshinamurti in their home alone is going to bring unfathomable blessings in terms of intellectual capacities. Because that form is like that. Without speaking, he is able to destroy the ignorance of all those who are around. The Chinna Samshaya, all doubts are gone. How? Right? How? We will see several forms. And then, interesting thing, his right leg is down. We are talking about Gnanam. You see, somebody who sees this picture and then doesn't think about it, we are missing a whole lot. First they came away turned off by this Lord Shiva dancing with his wife, thinking that how can he be a householder and tell us about Brahmagnana. They come here and they see one person sitting under the banyan tree. They observe closely on his, if you notice the picture of Dakshinamurti, you will see all these things. On his right ear, in the picture, you will see, on the right ear, he will have what is known as a Makara Kundalam, the type of earrings that men wear. On the left ear, he will have a Tatankam. Tatankam is the type of earring that women wear. You see how subtle these things are? To say that, look, whomever you saw separately as Shiva and Parvati engaged in dance is the same entity that is present as one person in front of you as a young boy, conveying that, look, those two are not two, this is the one. Right side earring is this, left side earring is female principle. So it's one entity. So only those who observe these things will realize this message that is being conveyed. Right? We are not just randomly imagining things and worshipping all these things. And then if you look at his right leg is down, left leg is on his right thigh. Next time when you get a chance, please observe this. So under the right leg, there will be one demon. Under the right leg, he is pressing his foot on him. So imagine somebody is getting crushed under somebody's feet. What will be the facial expression of pain? Right? You should, obviously, somebody is tapping on you. You won't be thrilled about it. Right? So this demon is under the feet of Lord Dakshinamurti. And if you look at the expression of that demon, he will be looking up like this and smiling. You can watch all these things. How you can be smiling under somebody's feet like that? There is a name for that demon. That demon's name is Apasmara. Apasmara is forgetfulness or ignorance. So that ignorance or forgetfulness is being controlled, and that fellow is happy because even though he is being controlled, and he has these earrings, and and he has 4 hands, and in each hand he has, on one hand he will have a book, symbolizing that he holds in his hand all body of knowledge. Okay, if I'm holding here, sitting with a plate of laddus in front of me, and you come to me, what am I going to give you? Of course I will give you the laddu. If I'm holding a book in my hand, what do you think he is going to give us? All knowledge that is embodied in that book. So you would say book in his one hand, and in some pictures you will see him with a veena. In other pictures you will see with a Purna Kumbham in one hand, fire in the other hand. Things there, we can talk about the symbolism behind these forms at another time. And most importantly, he holds a mudra, a symbol like this, in his right hand, one of the right hands. Right? That is the Vyakhyanam. Gurostu Maunam Vyakhyanam. This is the Vyakhyanam that is going on. So the gesture, commentaries have been written, books have been written on this gesture, which is known as Chin Mudra. This is known as Gnana Mudra. The Gnanam is conveyed in this one. What is that? Quickly I will. Is the time correct?
Yes.
Chin Mudra. These 3 fingers are symbolic of this world. Because everything in this world is 3. Past, present, future. Wakeful state, sleep, and Jagrat, dream state. Jagrat, Swapna, Sushupti. Wakeful state, dream state, and deep sleep. 3. Right? Sattva, Rajas, Tamas. 3 qualities. Sattvic qualities, Rajasic qualities, Tamasic qualities. Everything in this creation is 3. So, this world. This is Jiva, us. Normally, this is like this. These 4 fingers are together. This one is separate. Right? The 5th finger, the thumb, is separate. So, usually these 4 are together. We are all associated with this world. So, as long as the Jiva, us, is associated with this world, the Paramatma, the Brahma, is separate. But this is, if you want to do anything with the hand, you cannot perform activities without the help of thumb. Most of the activities, very few things you can do with these things. You need thumb for everything. So thumb is the foundational thing. That's the Paramatma. Jiva, associated with the world, will keep on going into the world, coming back from the world. This is the thing. What is the message? Dissociate from the world, bend towards the God, the Jiva, moves towards the God, and as the Jiva starts making effort towards moving towards God, the God also comes closer. Because you make an effort, God responds. And then you connect. Then you are, what happens? Purna. 0. Right? Now this is complete. This is separate. So, Chin Mudra is just holding like this. All this message is being conveyed. So, in one form of Lord Dakshinamurti, the essence of this entire creation, the process of life and birth, and what is to be done, what will happen, everything is being conveyed. Sishyastu Chinna Samsaya. They understood. He didn't say anything. He just told it like this. Finished. You have one picture of Lord Dakshinamurti in our house. You want our children to be intelligent. You want them to be doing well in school. You want them to be developing good qualities. Easy solution. At least have one picture of Lord Dakshinamurti in your house. You don't even have to tell them all these philosophical things. Even it's enough if a child simply looks at it and he doesn't have to think about it. He just looks at it. That's fine. That alone is a blessing for the child to develop sharp intellectual abilities. But imagine if you were to also develop interest in knowing these things and start doing something about it, then how much more benefit you should have. Right? So that is the Pancha. This is also 5. We talked about Pancha Bhutas, all the 5 heads, and this is also 5. 3, 1, 5. Right? Panchabhutas and 5 different entities that are there. And then at a different time, Lord Shiva manifested as a Ashtamurti, as a 8-component entity. And that is also, there is a huge philosophical discussion about it. These five bhutas, Prithvi, Apas, Tejo, Vayu, Akasas, then Jiva, and then Paramatman. So there is a description of that. Bhuram bham sanalo nilom baramaharnato himam suppuman bhuhu, earth. Ambha, water. Bhuram bham sana analo nilo, vayu and fire. Bhuram bham sanalo nilom baramahar, ambara, akasha. Maharnatho, sun. Himamshu, moon. Okay? Puman, the Jiva. All of us. So these are the 8 forms of Lord Shiva. Now you see, there's an improvement from one to the other. Right? 5 bhutas, sun, moon, and the Jiva. These are all 8 aspects of Lord Shiva. That means you and I are inseparable from that Lord Shiva. We are also an aspect of Lord Shiva, is what Hindu philosophy conveys. So this sloka I am saying is from a very famous stotram that Sri Adi Shankara has composed, and that is known as Dakshinamurti stotram. Bhuram bham sanalo nilambara maharnatho himam suppuman ityabhati characharatmakamidam yasyaiva murtyashtakam nanyat kinchana vidyate vimrishatam yasmat parasmat vibho tasmai Shri Gurumurtaye namaidam Sri Dakshinamurtaye. I want to look and see if there is anything else, but nanyat kinchit, there is nothing else other than Lord Shiva, because all 5, sun, moon and us, what else is left? Nothing. So everything is part and parcel of that Lord Shiva. So if you talk about Siva Gnanam, when we are worshipping, having a symbol of Shivalinga in front of us, all of this knowledge is embedded in that. It's just a symbol that is there in front of you. We are not worshipping stones. Let nobody tell us of that. We know what we are doing. Right? This is the Ashtamurti Tattva of Lord Shiva. Now you can ask questions. Okay, sir, you told us about all these things. I also mentioned about the 3 eyes. What are the 3 eyes of Lord Shiva? Right? So, in that same, it says, the shloka, the dhyana shloka, it says that the 3 eyes are, one of the eyes is sun, the other eye is moon, the third eye, of course, we know is fire. So these are the 3 eyes. So can you be away from the gaze of Lord Shiva ever? Either sun is there, whether you see or not, or moon is there. If nothing is there, then there is fire. So you are always under the gaze of Lord Shiva. Right? So those are the 3 netras. So when we are saying Lord Shiva has 3 eyes, we are not talking about these artificially physical eyes. We are talking about these entities that light up the whole world. Right? So that's it. So you tell me all these things, all good sir, very good. We understand Lord Shiva is Panchabhuteshvara, is Ashtamurti Tattva, is creation of this, all that. Nataraja Swami, of course, I'm afraid to go and talk about Nataraja Swami because that is in itself a huge thing. Right? Nataraja Swami, we heard that in Kailasam is dancing with Lord Shiva, Lord Mother Parvati. Right? But what is this dance? Doesn't he have any other work? We can ask, what is this dance that he is performing? This dance of Shiva, there is a book by that name. If you ever get a chance, please read it. Okay? The dance of Shiva. And the universe, all movement is understood as part of that dance. That cosmic dance that he is performing as all movement that goes on in this universe. When I talk about that, even if I move my hand, this movement, as also the earth going around the sun, as also the whole solar system moving around in this whole, Milky Way, and so on. There's nothing in this universe that is stationary, if you look at it. So there is movement all over, and that is the representation by Lord Shiva in perfect balance. That form and that symbolism behind it is a separate thing. We will have to do another satsang for that. Right? Chidambareshwara Nataraja. Chidambareshwara Nataraja. Right? But if you look at one thing, you see, if somebody is dancing and turns one's head this way, that way, and he has a huge jata jutam, what happens to the hair? If you turn this way, then the hair should come this side. If you turn the other way, the hair should go on the other side. How is his hair? So he is in perpetual motion, but his hair is in the same, is not going back and forth. You see that? So there is a lot of symbolism behind all these forms. So when we talk about Siva Gnanam, I hope we have gotten some understanding of what is this Lord Shiva that we are doing, worshipping in all these forms, right? Then we talked about Nilakantha. Did Lord Shiva always have Ganga on his head? Is a question. So then there is a nice story that in the dynasty that Lord Rama was born, one of Lord Rama's ancestors, several generations before. If I mention the name, you will know. His name is Bhagiratha. Bhagiratha's ancestors, his father is Dilipa Maharaja. And then his father is, and then at I think 2 generations, the Sagara is the name of the king, and his sons, several of them, they all have died in untimely death for some reason. Now this man, this Bhagiratha, wants to perform certain act to release them from those, whatever existence they had at that time. So he performs penance to Brahma, and Brahma appears and says, you want to do this, then you have to perform penance to Lord Shiva. I know how to release them, but you have to get this river in the heaven, which is Ganga, Mother Ganga, and that Ganga has to come onto earth, and then if it flows over the ashes of these people who were burnt by one sage Kapila, then they can be released from that bad end that they had. So he performs another penance for Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva appears and says, okay, I will help you. That's all Lord Shiva does. Anybody in trouble, you pray, he will help. Right? So he says, okay, I'll help you. What do you have to do? This river Ganga is going to fall from the heavens, and as it falls, it cannot fall directly onto the earth because the earth cannot bear that power. So it needs an intermediate holding place where it can be slowly released to earth. So Lord Shiva agrees to be that intermediate person. So to cut the story short, and if you get into the detail, that story is very fascinating. Okay, and there are many messages there too. So Lord Shiva stands there and river Ganga falls, and as she falls on his head, he uses his jata jutam to tie it and then hold it on his head. That's when he becomes a Gangadhari. Up until then, Mother Ganga was in the heaven. So he becomes Gangadhara. And then, of course, the story, just to finish off that thought, he releases just one part of that, and then it flows down as river Ganga on earth. And that river Ganga is such a holy river for us precisely because Bhavanga Patitam Toyam. It has come from Lord Shiva's body. It is holy for us. As such, she is holy, she is a heavenly river. But further, it is coming from this. And when I say that Bhavanga Patitam Toyam, that reminds me of the names of these Ashtamurti names of Lord Shiva. So, Bhavaya Devaya Namaha, Bhavaya Devaya Namaha, Sharvaya Devaya Namaha, Ishanaya Devaya Namaha, Pashupataye Devaya Namaha, Rudraya Devaya Namaha, Bhimaya Devaya Namaha, Ugraya Devaya Namaha, Mahate Devaya Namaha. These are the names of Ashtamurti Tattvas. So when I say Bhavanga Patitam Toyam, Lord Shiva is Bhava, is his name. Sharva is his name. Ishana is his name. Pashupati is his name. That's a very interesting name. Pashupati. Pashupati means Lord of Pashus. Pashus are domesticated animals. Lion, for example, is not a Pashu because you don't domesticate it. Domesticated. Pashu is that which can be tied with a pashan, means a rope. Domesticated in that sense. Right? Pashupati, he is the Pashupati. And the idea is that we are all Pashus. however much we may pride ourselves as, oh, I am this, I am that, you are simply a Pashu. Why? Because you are also tied with the pasha of karma, punya and papa. So we are all Pashus and he is the Pashupati, Lord Shiva. So Lord Shiva is the Pashupati, he is the Ashtamurti and all that, and he became Gangadhara, all these things, right? You say, okay sir, I've seen all this, I heard all these things, what do I get? Ultimately that's the thing, right? We can do anything, but I have to get something at the end of it. What is this use of all this Siva Gnanam? Okay, now you understand different forms of Shiva, different names of Shiva, is this, is that. So what is the question? So the result of knowing all these things is that you are assured of his existence around you. Right? So when we say, for example, my children are somewhere some thousands of miles away, I cannot be there with them every time to take care of them. Right? When our children are going from home, say they come home for a few days and they go home after that, and then you say, oh, call me if you need anything, I'm there, I will be there always, you can call me middle of the night, anytime I can, you can say all that. But it still is, you're not there with them. Right? So who is with them? Whether you are there or not, Lord Shiva is with them. So all we have to say when our children are leaving our home is to simply say, Sivo Rakshatu. May Lord Shiva protect you. That's it. That Shiva's protection is guaranteed 24/7. You have the awareness. The child may not have that awareness and that thing that, oh, Lord Shiva is everywhere. They may not even know all these things. Doesn't matter. You are invoking that power of Lord Shiva as a protection for your children or near and dear ones wherever they are. That's the benefit of knowing that Lord Shiva exists in all these forms. Right? And then you say, okay, all this is fine, but what is the still, you are not convinced, let us say. Then they say, what happens when you invoke that name, Shiva's name? Right? Siva. See how simple that is. I could have used Ishvara Gnanam. I could have used Hara Gnanam. I could have used whatever else. But Shiva is so easy name. No combined words. Sa, Sha, I, Va. Shiva. How hard is it to say, repeat it? Not hard at all. Right? So it's so easy. Repeating it simply invokes the presence of that divinity in everything around you. All you have to say is what? Om Namah Shivaya. Panchakshari Mantram. Right? What happens if you do it? So again, that same poet Dhurjati says in Kalahastisvara Shatakam, he says, Pavi Pushpambagu Agni Mansagu Nakuparambagu Pavi Pushpambagu Nagni Mansagu Nakuparambu Bhumitalambagu Setrundati Mitrudau Vishamudivyaharamaunenagan. He says, somebody tries to harm you by throwing a stone at you, that will become like a flower for you. Pavi Pushpambagu Agni Manchagu, somebody tries to put fire, it becomes cool. Agni Manchagu, somebody tries to throw them in the well, then that will become like a land, they won't drown. Akuparambu Bhumitalambu, somebody comes with an intent to harm us. Setrundati Mitrudau, they will become friends for you. Vishamu Divyaharamunenagan, somebody tries to feed poison, that will become Divyaharam, that means becomes a beautiful dish, that's a delicious dish somebody has prepared. Avani Mandala Lopalan Siva Sivetya Bhashanolasikin, somebody who keeps on chanting Shiva, 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 what happens? This is what happens. Anything that is approaching us with a negative intent will automatically, instantly gets transformed into positive things. Whoever says Lord Shiva's name, that is what he says. So that is the power of chanting Lord Shiva's name. So what do I get? Well, all these benefits are automatically accrued to you. And in fact, he goes on to say, to Lord Shiva, direct dialogue to Lord Shiva. Say, somebody says, I am sorry, but I didn't know all these things. I'm already into my 60s. I wasted all my previous 60 years. I never knew all these things. I never cared. Even if somebody was trying to tell me, I never cared. Maybe it's still too late. What am I going to do at this point? Right? Then it says, poet Durjati says in one of the poems that just by uttering the name of Lord Shiva, one may have committed a huge number of sins, however large number of sins, countless number of sins, right? All of that will be like a mountain of cotton. Mountain of cotton. If you want to burn a mountain of cotton, how much fire do you need? Do you need a mountain of fire? Or just a small trigger of fire is good enough? Right? So that is what this poet Durjati says, that all the Shastras and all these Vedas and everything is declaring that your name Shiva is, even though is very small and simple, it has the capacity to burn a huge mountain of sin. Nippai pataka tula sailamadachun, like fire. Nippu means fire. Nippai pataka tula sailamadachun ni namamun manavul Tappundavula vinnanantaka bhuja darpoddata klesamul. How? Not even that you are sitting very seriously in front of your altar and trying to close your eyes and meditate and say Om Namah Shivaya. Not like that. You are passing by and in somebody's house they are doing some bhajan and by chance you hear the name Shiva. You are not doing anything intentionally, just by pass. Tappun davula vinnanantaka bhuja dappodhatak. By chance that name Shiva fell in your ears. And then what happens? Tappan davula vinnanantaka bhuja dappodhatak klesamul tappundarul. All of those things will be burnt away. That mountain full of sins will be burnt. And you will change track. All this while for 50 years, 60 years you are going in a particular route. That name fell in your ears and your transformation begins. Tappundarulu muktulaudurani. You will be liberated. Shastrambul Mahapanditul Chappanga Tamakinka Sankavalena Srikalahastishvara is asking the Lord Shiva. You say, you are wondering, should I save this fellow or not? All these years he has been committing all kinds of sins. And you are having doubt whether to save me or not. Don't you know that all the Shastras and all these scholars have been telling that just by chance if I hear your name, all my sins will be burnt. What is your hesitation? Why are you not coming and saving me? He is asking Lord Shiva. You see the intent of that, the yearning of a devotee. He is already feeling bad that the time is gone by and lot of misdeeds have been committed, ridden with guilt probably, but he has got one hope. That hope is once somebody takes to this name of Lord Shiva, all the sins will be burnt, just like a huge mountain of sin can be burnt by a small speck of fire. So if only we can place our faith in this, we never have to be guilty. That is not to say that, okay, I will do Shiva once and then I will go and commit all my sins again tomorrow and then I will again chant Shiva day after tomorrow and then all these things. You cannot play these kind of tricks with God. Right? It's not like that you commit sins for a whole week and go on Sunday and pray and you are done and then commit again sins the whole next week. No. True transformation is when you stop doing the things that you have been doing. Right? So this is the power of this name of Lord Shiva. What do I get? This is what we get. Everything gets all around us. Anything that's trying to harm will turn into beneficial things. In fact, he goes on and says, oh no sir, actually I know all this is fine, but in my horoscope, all planets are sitting in the wrong places. What can I do? So there you hear people say that. Right? I try a lot, but but my horoscope is like that. What I can do? So he says, Grahadoshamvulu Durnimittamulu Ni Kalyana Namambu Perkonu Uttamottamula Badhimpagano Pune. You say Grahadoshas? Bad placing of planets in your horoscope? Grahadoshambulu Durnimittamulu. You are trying to go outside on a very important task. Shakunam, you understand Shakunam? That auspicious things that occur in front of you. So something inauspicious, a cat will go from left to right or right to left or something like that. We have all these Shakunams, right? So if a cat goes from left to right, I don't know which direction, but it is considered bad. You are going on a very important task and a cat goes. Durnimittam means Dushakunam. Grahadoshamvulu Durnimittamulu Ni Kalyana Namambu Perkunu Uttamottamala Badhimpaga. Can they harm you? Can they harm somebody who is chanting the name of Lord Shiva every day? Can the Dushtagraha placement harm them? Can the Durnimittas harm them? Grahadoshambulu Durnimittamulu Badhimpagano Pune. Can they really harm you? Whom? Ni Kalyana Namambu Pratyahamun Perkunu. Whosoever chants your name every day, not randomly, right? To such people, none of this will be affecting them. Why? Because Dahanam Kappagajalune Salabhasantanambu. There is a huge fire. All these bugs, like we have those love bugs and all that kind of things, right? Creatures that fly. But they are all decided one day we are going to destroy this fire, and they will all go rush into the fire to destroy the fire. Can they destroy the fire, or will they get burnt? They get burnt. These insects get burnt if they try to jump into the fire. They cannot put out the fire. In the same manner, all these bad placement of planets, all these bad things, they have to die, not the other way. They cannot harm the person who chants the name of Lord Shiva every day. And these are not just some opinion things, right? Random things that it's maybe Durjati's opinion. No, we have proof. What is the proof, sir, you ask? Let me tell you a story. Maybe some of you know this. There was a sage by the name Mrukanda, is his name. Okay? And he did not have any children. So he went and performed penance. Well, that's all they do, right? To Lord Shiva. So Lord Shiva appeared and said, okay, what do you want? And he says, I would like to have a child. So Lord Shiva, this is his Leela, play, says, I'll give you two options. You can have a stupid fellow who will live for long but is ill-mannered and bad character, or such person you can have. Or you can have a alpaish, means one who lives for a short time but Shiva Bhakta. Who do you want? Alpaish is 16 years only. He will live only for 16 years, but he will be a great Shiva Bhakta. Who do you want? So this being a sage, he says, I'm okay with just having somebody who is Alpaishku, so a short-lived person, but I want somebody who is a Shiva Bhakta, good son. So tadhastu, may that happen. So this sage gets a son. And that son is named Markandeya. Right? He is 16 years only. So the boy is growing. The boy doesn't know. The parents know that this fellow is going to live only for 16 years and it is bothering them all the time. So at some point, Sage Narada or somebody comes and says, okay, let me help you. I'm going to initiate him into Panchakshari mantra. So they initiate the boy into Panchakshari mantra. Of course, any mantra, ideal thing will be to be initiated by a guru who himself or herself is a siddha in that mantra. Somebody who has mastered that. You can't read from a book and listen from TV and start chanting mantras and expect them to have effect, the true effect. So the sage Narada initiates him into Panchakshari mantra. So this boy is very devoted by Lord Shiva's grace. So he is daily chanting Panchakshari mantra. he is performing all the time worship of Lord Shiva, and all these things are going on. Slowly the boy is growing, and ultimately he is reaching the age of 16. So now the parents know, now the boy also knows that the boy, because he sees his parents sad all the time. He says, "What's wrong with you guys?" And then the parents say, "Okay, we are worried that now anytime this can happen." So it so happens that the boy actually performs takes a dip in the river and is Sandhya Vandanam, etc. and is coming to the temple to worship Lord Shiva. That's all he does from the childhood. As he is coming, he sees Lord Yama appearing in front of him. Let's not go by our movies, okay? Our movies will distort all these things and show that he is coming on a dark buffalo and things like that. For the good people, for those who are pious, for those who have punya, first of all, ordinary people cannot see them, right? There are so many people who die in this world. They are all not seeing these Yama and Yama Bhattas and all these things, though the Puranas describe that. In order to visually see them, they have to already be at a certain level, right? And it is not true that Lord Yama himself will come to take the prana life of everybody who dies. What does he do? He sends his servants. He says, "Oh, that fellow, somebody is dying, go get him." So the Bhattas, these servants will go. But to pick this boy, Yama himself is there. And he is in a very pleasant form because this boy is a very pious and good boy, a spiritual person. So to such people, you will not have them all those ferocious forms. He sees this Lord Yama standing. So he puts a namaskaram to Lord Yama and says, "Sir, what can I do?" He says, "Oh, I have come here to take you away because Lord Shiva told that you have only 16 years to live." So then the boy goes straight into the Shiva temple and he holds on to Lord Shivalingam and embraces the Shivalingam. That is when there is a stotra called Chandrasekhara Ashtakam, right? So this boy chants Ratnasanusarashanam. It goes on like that. Chandrasekhara Ashtraye Kim Karishyati Vayyama. I have taken refuge in Chandrasekhara. What can Yama do to me? Chandrasekhara Ashtraye Kim Karishyati Vayyama. In every sloka, the last line will be that. Ratnasanusarasanam Rajatadri Shunganiketanam Sinjini Kruta Pannageshwara Achyutana Lasayakam. Goes on to describe things like that. So he is doing that. Lord Shiva, Yama wants to take his life away, but the boy is hugging a Shivalinga. Nevertheless, when Lord Yama tries to snatch away the life force from this boy, Lord Shiva appears along with Mother Parvati, manifests at that Shivalinga. And what is the first thing that Lord Shiva does? It's not Lord Shiva. With his left leg, he gives one kick to this Lord of Death, Yama, so that Yama flies away and Yama is gone. Who has died? Lord Yama has died in this process. Okay? And then he tells this boy, "I am giving you life for 7 kalpas. 7 kalpas. 1 kalpa I told you what it is, right? So 7 such kalpas, Markandeya has gotten the extra blessing." Then all the gods and goddesses are there. They all say to Lord Shiva, after all, you have set the rules of the game. You told that this fellow is supposed to die at 16 years of age, and Yama was simply doing his job. Many times we all say, nothing personal in it, sir, it's just my job. Right? So similarly, that Lord Yama was doing his job, nothing personal about it, and you unnecessarily kicked him and he died. Right? So now please bring him back to life. So Lord Shiva says, he brings him back to life and says, "Yes, I have said that this boy should die at 16, but I also have the authority to change that because I am the one who made the rule." So then he tells to Lord Yama, "Do your duty, no doubt, but do not come anywhere near my devotees. You can go do punish or take the lives the way you want with all those other people who are living a life of sin and other things. But if somebody is wearing a Tripunda, Vibhuti, somebody is wearing a Rudraksham, don't go near them. Rudraksha is a Shiva's thing. Tripundram Vibhuti is a Shiva's thing. So the moment you see my devotees, it's not your job. Then who goes? Shiva's servants will go. They have to die. It's not that they won't. The physical body has to fall. But Lord Yama will not go and pick them up. See, somebody go to receive somebody, right? To take them somewhere. So the people who will come for such Lord Shiva's devotees are Pramadaganas. He will send some, Lord Shiva will send from Kailasa. Hey, go get this fellow, my devotee is about to leave his body, bring him to Kailasa. They will come, not Yama or his bhattas. Markandeya Maharshi is a great sage who had alpaish, short-lived life, became 7 kalpas. His dirghayu is supposed to be there even now. Right? So that is what Lord Shiva's bhakti can do to you. Doesn't mean that we will all get life for 7 kalpas. Right? We don't need also. What we will do with it anyway. Right? So the point is that even when there is apamrityu, this is called apamrityu. Untimely death is called apamrityu. Apamrityu dosha will be gone and one will live a full life and lead a good life and eventually happily, comfortably, joyfully give up. Because we know anyway this has to fall. What is there to worry about it? Right? But you will live a full life and then contentment, with satisfaction, having lived a good life, one leaves body. That apamrityu dosham will go if you chant this Chandrasekhara Ashtakam. There's so many things. Just by looking at Lord Shiva's form, where he has that Chandra Rekha, that moon on his head, is a symbol of Amrita Tattva, is a symbol of immortality. So saying even Chandrasekhara, Chandrasekhara, Chandrasekhara Pahimam, Chandrasekhara, Chandrasekhara, Chandrasekhara Rakshama, if you just say that, that alone is also a protection to prevent untimely accidents and that kind of things, to prevent any harm that can come. You want intelligence and knowledge, then worship Dakshinamurti. You want protection from these kind of things, chant Chandrasekhara's Ashtakam or just even the name of Chandrasekhara alone is enough. So each name, each form has a specific benefit. You say, look, I don't want all these theories, I just want to say Om Namah Shivaya, fine. It's the same entity anyway. You know what we are doing here, right? And similarly, somebody can say, oh, I don't know all these mantras and all these things. I worship, for example, we did the other day, Mahanyasam and Rudram and Chamakam, and somebody can say, no, I don't know those things. Nobody taught me. And what do? I don't have time to learn, right? And that kind of doubt can also be there. So, in our religion, nowhere it is said that only Brahmanas who can do all these Vedic chantings and this and that are eligible to get protection from God or to become one with God. Is there an example? Many examples are there. One I will quote and then we will conclude. So, this is the story of, is one of the Nayanar. There are many Nayanars, and this one is, his name is Tinnadu is the name. Kannappa is the otherwise known name. I don't know the Tamil name for it. Kannappa Nayanar. So Kannappa is the name of that person. So this one was born in a Bhil family. Bhils are the nomads kind of things, right? So he is, and again I will say, let us not fall for these movie stories, right? Movie stories are all very distorted. From what I hear, there is even a new movie on Kannappa coming up, and again the same filmy masala will be there. But the true story of Kannappa is that he was born and brought up in a forest among a nomad family, and he was only 16-year-old boy. At the time, he goes on a hunting mission and sees Lord Shiva's Shivalinga in the forest. And he overcomes with intense devotion for Lord Shiva and says, you are sitting here all by yourself and nobody to take care of you. Let me take care of you. or you come with me, let me go back to our place, when we will take care of you. To this boy, that Shivalinga is not a stone, it is Shiva. So he is pleading with Shivalinga, like that. And of course, Lord Shiva does not move. So he says, okay, if you are not coming, then I am staying here to take care of you. Right? So that is the bhakti that is there in him. He does not know any mantras, he has not learned any Vedas, he is not even a Brahmin, he is a Shudra, and maybe nothing he knows. He is a 16-year-old boy. Right? So he says, I will take care of you. And every day, what is his job? He will go, clean the Shivalinga and do in his own way. Right? Whatever Naivedyam he has to offer. What is the Naivedyam he will offer? He eats meat. So he thinks, so if I am eating meat, Lord Shiva should eat meat. So Lord Shiva, please eat. And he will eat. Right? That kind of thing. At this, that being a Shiva temple, there is also a Brahmin priest who comes there to perform worship. So the Brahmin priest worships in a certain way because he knows the process of doing things. He is trained in a certain way. So he comes every day, he will clean the Shivalinga, he will perform chant Rudram, and he will perform Panchamrita Abhishekam, this and that. He goes, and then this boy comes and he throws away all the whatever is there and puts all this meat, etc. for Lord Shiva. So this Brahmana, his name is Siva Gnanam, is the Brahman's name. And this boy is, he became Kannappa later. His original name was Tinnadu. So, this is going on. What he does, this boy, because he has to hunt, kill, I don't know how they do, but they fry the meat and they will bring it, he will give it to Shiva. So the way he does, he has a bow and arrow on one side, he has this meat thing on one, and then his hands are busy, so he has to perform, and he knows Lord Shiva is not going to eat unless he takes bath. Right? Unfortunately, it's a habit that is not being practiced anymore. Otherwise, we are not supposed to eat unless we have taken a shower. Right? So he knows at least that about Shiva. So he has to be performing Abhishekam for Lord Shiva. How he will do? So he says, okay, let me first take there's a river flowing by. The river is known as Suvarnamukhi river. So he takes the water and puts it in his mouth. Okay? And then there is this meat that is fried nicely, and in one hand, and there is a bow and arrow in the other, and he's running to Lord Shiva, and he goes there, and he spits out the water in his mouth on Lord Shiva's linga, treating that as Abhishekam being performed for Lord Shiva. Right? And then he feeds Lord Shiva this meat. That is his style. Right? So this is what he is doing. The Brahmana gets upset with this thing. He doesn't know who is doing this. So when he says, what am I doing wrong? Why are you testing me like this? So Lord Shiva tells this Brahmana, you come tomorrow and wait on the sidelines, just to watch what happens. And he is waiting, and this fellow comes, does all this spitting the water on the Shivalinga, trying to feed the meat, and Shiva doesn't take it. On top of it, from the right side of the Shivalinga's eye, there is an eye, and the blood tears start streaming. So the boy thinks, why is Lord Shiva crying? Oh my God, maybe he has got a headache. We don't know why he is crying. This boy is thinking. And then he tries to go get all kinds of leaves and then put those juice, and because he's a nomad, he knows all those foresty things. But nothing happens. It keeps flowing. And after he puts all these medicines that he thinks are going to cure his eye problem, it starts streaming blood. So now the blood is coming. And this fellow doesn't know what to do. He has no knowledge of medicine. So he says, somewhere I heard that medicine for eye is eye. So your eye has a problem. I'm going to pluck my eye out and put it in for you, so that your problem will be solved. So he pulls out one of the eyes and puts it on Lord Shiva's. The moment he does it, the second eye starts flowing blood. You know the story, but I am saying it because we relive it. So the second eye starts flowing. Then this fellow is happy. He says, oh, now I know the cure for you. I know the eye is the cure. So I can remove this. Then this fellow gets into doubt. I know you have 3 eyes. No, sorry, that's not it. So if I pluck my second eye, then I don't know where is your eye. How will I put it? Right? Because he is blind now. Both eyes are gone. One eye is able to see. So he thinks and then puts his foot as just to put a mark where his eye is and tries to pluck the second eye out so that he can put it where that is. Simple, innocent bhakti is what is reflected in this story. So that nobody need to think somehow all this knowing the Vedic chants, knowing all these processes of what is the right way to perform the worship, etc., are important for God. No, it doesn't matter what caste you are born, what varna you are born, whether you know anything about how to worship or not. All that God looks for is, do you have a pure heart and do you have the bhakti? So just as he tries to pluck that eye out, Lord Shiva appears in front of him and says, stop, this was just a test and I just wanted to see, not see for himself but to demonstrate his bhakti to the world. He has done it and he restores the boy's sight. Boy lives for the rest of his life happily. And if you go to Srikalahasti, which is the place where this has happened, on the banks of Suvarnamukhi river, remember I was talking about Srikalahasti temple, Vayulinga. There is a temple for Kannappa also. Interesting fact about this kshetram is, Lord Shiva's temple is on the ground, at a usual level. Kannappa's temple is on the hill. Usually the devotees are down and the God is at the top. In Kalahasti, if you go, Srikalahasti, Kannappa's temple is on the hilltop, Lord Shiva's temple is on the ground level. That is the status given to this bhakta. So, nobody needs to say, I don't know these things, therefore I cannot worship. Nobody needs to say that, look, I have done a lot of sins, I have wasted my life, etc. So now it's too late. No need to worry. Right? So, these are all the stories to convey the grace of Lord Shiva. Knowing who he is, knowing what he values, understanding how to reach him is important. That's more important. So, but that does not mean tomorrow morning when you have to perform your Lord Shiva's worship, you are also going to put your water in your mouth and spit it out on Shivalinga. Nobody should do that. That boy didn't know any better. You and I know better. At least even if you don't know any mantras, that's okay, but you don't have to spit water from your mouth. You can at least take in a vessel and clean water and do it. So nobody should be stretching these stories in a distorted manner and then say, oh, when Kannappa can do, I can also do. Well, yes, you can also do. The day you are ready to pull out your eyes, you are also welcome. But if you really have so much bhakti, why would you do? You would do your very best effort to worship Lord Shiva. You don't settle for less, you see. Right? So it says, Margavartita Padukaha Vanacharo. That's Adi Shankara says in Shivananda Lahari. Margavartita Padukah Vanacharo Rangasya Kurchayate. What he will do every time he comes, his hands are full and whatever things are lying on Lord Shiva's linga, they have to be cleared. How he will clear? He will use his leg and where he is wearing shoes, slippers, and then he will use this and clear the Shivalinga with his leg. The flowers that were there on the Shivalinga. So, Margavartita Padukaha Vanacharo Rangasya Kurchayate. How do you and I clean the Shivalinga? We are supposed to clean it so carefully. There is a kurcham. Kurcham is like a small brush, you know. You are supposed to take that kurcham and slowly, carefully move the yesterday's Nirmalya. We did the Nirmalya worship there. We should, so as to not harm the linga, right? That's the kurcha. But Margavartita Padukaha Vanacharo Rangasya Kurchayate. The shoes that fellow was wearing became a kurcha for you. Adi Shankara is saying this. Gandu Shambhu Nishevitam Purahare Divyabhishekayate. This fellow's water from his mouth became for you a Divya Abhishekam for you. Kinchit Bhakshita Mamsa Seshakapalam Navyopaharayate. This fellow has tasted to see whether that meat has fried nicely or not. He ate, tested, then he got. And you ate it? Kinchit bhakshita mamsa seshaka balam navyo. You thought it was a great naivedya being offered to you? Bhakti kim na karotyaho vanacharo bhaktavatam sayake. Adi Shankara says, what is it that bhakti cannot achieve? Even Vanachara became Bhakta Agresara. Vanachara is somebody who lives in the forest, and that fellow became great devotee of Lord Shiva. So what is it that Lord Shiva values? Your bhakti is what he values. Do your very best. Don't do what Kadapa did. Do something that you are capable of doing. But all that he cares is that. He is there everywhere. His protection is there everywhere. Just knowing that this Lord Shiva is the Panchabhutatmaka, Ashtamurtyatmaka, Dakshinamurti Swarupam, Mrityunjaya Swarupam, you name it. I've just touched on the very small, tiny portion of the Siva Gnanam that is out there. Just a glimpse is all we have got. We haven't said anything even about Nataraja Swami. And there are many other forms of Lord Shiva. Each form, each name is meant to give a certain benefit. You say, I don't know all those things. Doesn't matter. Just say, that's all. Remembering him is Sivo Rakshatu. That protection is there. Because that Lord Shiva is there in you and in other person that you are looking at. We all say Namaste. That Namaste is not me, not mine, yours. That who is the you are talking about? That Lord Shiva in you. So when we say Namaste, we are not treating casually that, hi, kind of a thing. I am worshipping, I am bowing down to the Shiva in you. That is the Namaste. So this Shiva is there in you, in the other person. If we have that, hold that thought and can go about our lives, no harm can come. He will do. Take care. Like we talked about all those things. So there is a nice song that somebody composed, in modern poet actually wrote. I will just say those two lines and then we will conclude, and I will request Mother, Sister Vasumati. I was going to say Mother Vasumati. I don't mind saying Mother Vasumati. And I thank Vasu and all of you for patiently listening to me. The stories that you already know, there's nothing new probably that I told you, but it gives me an opportunity to share my thoughts and therefore gives me blessings of Lord Shiva. So this song goes, Nalona Sivudu Kaladu, Nilona Sivudu Kaladu. It's a Telugu song. Nalona means in me, right? Nalona Sivudu Kaladu, Nilona Sivudu Kaladu, Nalona Gala Sivudu, Nilona Gala Sivudu, Nalona Gala Sivudu, Nilona Gala Sivudu, Lokammu Lela Galadu. Nalona Gala Sivudu, Nilona Gala Sivudu, Lokammu Lela Galadu. He is the Lord of the universe, so he rules the whole universe. Lokammu Lela Galadu. He can rule the universe. Korite Shokammu Baba Galadu. We have to ask him, please release me from this, whatever difficulty that is coming. We have to ask him. That's all. Korite Shokammu Baba Galadu. Nalona Sivudu Kaladu. Nilona Sivudu Kaladu. Nalona Gala Sivudu, Nilona Gala Sivudu, Oka Kannu Teravagaladu. He can open one eye. He did that. When somebody came to put an arrow of Kama on him to perform wedding between Mother Parvati and Lord Shiva, he opened the third eye and burnt Manmatha. Kamari is called. So, Nalo Nagala Sivudu, Nilo Nagala Sivudu, Oka Kannu Teravagaladu, Korite Rentini, Muya Galadu. You can close both eyes for us. You can say, enough. You lived enough. Come on, now merge in me. Korite Rentini, Muya Galadu, Nalona Sivudu Kaladu, Nilona Sivudu Galadu, So if we can hold that thought that there is Lord Shiva in me, when I am saying Om Namah Shivaya or just any name that is appealing to you, you are just invoking His presence in you. Wherever you go, He's there. You are never alone. His protection is already there, always there. And when I acknowledge and say, Nilova Sivudu Kaladu, I am also going to treat the other person with equal respect that I would accord to Lord Shiva. Of course, to Lord Shiva you will prostrate. You cannot go around prostrating in front of everybody. But the bhava, the feeling that Lord Shiva, as much as He is in me, is in everyone. That also conveys the fundamental principle of Hinduism, that we recognize everyone as an embodiment of divinity. So there cannot be a discrimination in this religion. The 600 million people went for Kumbh Mela for taking a dip. Nobody asked what is your caste. Right? Nobody kept track of who is which caste, all Brahmins here, Shudras here. No. 600 million people went and did that. Why? Same principle of Shiva being in everyone. We treat everything as divinity. So I thank you again for the opportunity, and I pray that Lord Shiva's blessings and grace be showered on all of us. We just celebrated Mahashivaratri, but Mahashivaratri or not, any time we say Lord Shiva's name, His grace and blessings are always there. Sivo Rakshatu. Mangalam Kosalendraya Mahaniya Gunatmane Chakravarti Tanujaya Sarvabhaumaya Mangalam. Hari Om.
I have a question. Namachivaya versus Shivaya Namaha. Namachivaya will give worldly gifts, but Shivaya Namaha gives you moksha. Why is the difference? And can you tell which is the actual Panchakshara mantra? Namachivaya or Shivaya Namaha?
So, the original Panchakshari mantra is Namah Shivaya. Again, there's a whole lot of theory on that. Why is it so powerful, etc. So these 5 faces of Shiva, 1 letter for Na, 1 letter for Ma, 1 letter for Shi, etc. Right? And then to answer your question, the Panchakshari mantra in its original form, if somebody has to chant, it has to be properly initiated by a guru. Any of these mantras are to be initiated by somebody who has already practiced this, and it's a parampara thing, it's a lineage thing, right? So everybody, you find a guru, then you can ask, if I am deserving, please initiate me into that mantra. Because it's not like it is, you can just say, what is the deservedness? The deservedness is certain amount of purity of heart is necessary, right, to chant it in that form. But say somebody doesn't have a guru and somebody does not have an opportunity to find a guru and you want to do some chanting, then the means is, don't say it like Namah Shivaya, instead you say Shivaya Namaha. So for saying Shivaya Namaha, you do not need a guru. You can say it. The effect is essentially the same thing from what I know. Shivaya Namaha is easier, not easier, but it doesn't have rules of how do you get it. So you say meaning is same, Shivaya Namaha, but it will give you all the benefits that you seek. That is my understanding. You have a guru, you get initiated, Namah Shivaya. Don't have, but from today onwards you decide I want to chant something to do with Shiva. Then you can simply say Shivaya Namaha. Benefits, and my understanding, are same.
Thank you so much.
Amma,
Later then, because it's already late today. There's Kalyanam itself in the evening, and all the sponsors are here. They have to go and cook, and so it's okay, no problem. Next time. But again, I don't know how I should thank him or anything. But all I can say is we are blessed in this community to have someone who's so knowledgeable. I mean, there's no cheat sheet, no paper, nothing. It just flows when he opens his mouth. Like he said, the Gan just flows. Sostras and everything just flow from your mouth. All we can say is we are just blessed to have you. Anytime you want. Like I said this before, I'll say it again. Someone once asked me, what is the topic? I said, I don't know. I give the mic and I'll say talk, and he will talk. No topic, nothing. He can go through it. But I also want to say that Pramodini Preetham went to the Mahakumbh Mela and got the holy water that merged. So I'll ask him to do the blessing.
Mere
You know,
chayenge.
lay the meal chain, I don't think I'm going to.
Bhakti,
So if you just
I-
want to go.
Can I tell a small episode that happened in Minneapolis Temple of Shiva?
Please.
Many
You can
years
come
ago, there were 4 Infosys students that on January 1st,
Undani.
they went for a drive along the Mississippi River. And they were young students that came to this country and they did only one of them
Who is
knew
that?
driving. So
Pushpa.
when this guy was driving, the girl said she wanted to drive the car, so he gave the Jeep SUV to her. And she was making a U-turn, she lost control and they went into Mississippi River. Not too far, I mean, they could have just got out of the car and walked to the banks, but they did not. The car went this way, the first 2 of them, they tried to keep the head above the water and they couldn't. And the back girls also tried, 3 girls and 1 boy. The ones in the back, front, both of them died, but the one in the back, one was putting above her head, she was okay, and the other one was not okay. So then the Infosys brought her,